Hey everybody, this is Perch, and we got an email here, and the title is Thoughts on Comic Distribution and Production. And mostly I'm thinking, thank God nobody's asking about woke shit for a change. It is weird. People get so hung up over this. Like the Fantastic Four thing, I still am baffled by the people who really, really want to go in and be horny about this idea that, like, somebody like posted, it's like, come on, Perch. Vanessa Hudgens would be, or Vanessa Hudgens. It's not Vanessa Hudgens. Vanessa, the actress who's playing Sue Storm. It's like she was continued to talk about her feminist ideals. No, she didn't. That's not the article. It's not there. I get that you heard that on a YouTube channel, but it literally is not there. Anyway, so we're gonna get a legitimate good mail here. Hey, well, maybe we'll see. Come on now, man. Don't let me down. Hi there, Perch. I hope you and yours are well. I continue to listen to your videos and I always enjoy them, so thank you. We're off to a good start. I frequently put them on to accompany me while tidying my comic shop before opening, so as often your voice I hear while scrubbing floors. It's the best thing to... Also cleaning toilets. It's good for that too. I know that doesn't sound like a compliment, but it is. Look, I get it. I scrub some floors for my shops, and those tile floors, they get like some asshole comes in with boots and scuffs the floors, and anyway. Whatever. Put bluntly, diamond are a shit show dumpster fire. Well, yeah. Now, by the way, I record a lot of videos and they, they're on delay. So I'm going to give you the date here because you might say like, at what point was this a dumpster fire? And the answer is, this is April 15th. I'm reading this mail. So I think pretty recently. I don't know when this video is going. Anyway, April 15th. So post bankruptcy and other bullshit. It says, all right, one thing keeps crossing my mind. We're at a point in tech and distribution channels where there is too many links in the chain. Totally. The supply chain is overly complicated. I would love to hear your thoughts on my grand solution to all this. All right, let's fix it. At the moment, publishers send their material to a printer, typically in Canada. Tariffs. No, I'm kidding. We then produce a physical product and ship it to Diamond in the UK anyway. We don't have Lunar, etc. here. Who in turn ship it to stores. Why do we need Diamond? Why not have a hybrid printer distributor? Better yet, at the time of digital processing, this guy is smart, by the way. Already I'm like, yeah. Why do we need to have to be a slave to print orders? I sold out of Absolute Batman 7, despite having put on the biggest order for any single comic I ever have before. And now I want more, and I can't even get them until the second printing. Even if Diamond did have stock, it would take the best part of 2 weeks to have them arrive in my store. Not ideal in 2025. Oh yeah, so this guy's in the UK. So no tariffs for you. Good news. So my solution is this, a printer distributor hybrid. All right, this guy keeps going and we're going to read it all, but he's correct. This is the future. It has one major consequence that I think is a good thing, but I suspect a lot of you are not going to like it. We're going to know in the comments how many of you are purists, okay? But let's keep reading the mail and we'll get there. It says, I placed my initial order for, say, 50 copies of Absolute Batman, and at this stage, I've access to varied covers, including ratios and a 40% discount. Should I later want to order additional copies, I can do so, and they will be printed on demand, but I will only have access to the A cover. This is his idea, by the way. This isn't how it actually works. This is a much more sane way of how it works. I'm going to pick at it in a minute, but here we go. It says, in a lower level of discount to accommodate for the lack of economy of scale. Okay, at this point, I'm going to break in to say, do you know what economy of scale is? Very simple term for those of you who haven't heard that before. It basically means the more you produce, the cheaper your rate should be, because it's cheaper to print in mass quantities than it is in one-offs. So the idea is if you go to a printer and you ask for one poster, they're going to charge you like $1. But if you go in and ask for 50 posters, they're going to charge you 50 cents per poster, i.e. $25. And the benefit is it's the economy of scale. Basically, you get a discount for scale. That's what that means. If you take an MBA class, they will give you a more complicated version than I did, but that's basically what it means. All right, there you go. It says, back to the mail, it says, hence, I am incentivized to continue making my initial orders as large as I can stomach. I know it sounds odd, but is actually all that different from how existing print-to-demand services work, e.g. printing business flyers, booklets, etc. It's not different. In fact, that's how Amazon largely works, and it works fine. And a lot of publishers have gone to this model because it's economical and it makes sense and allows you to scale to a demanding marketplace. Again, there's a one major caveat, and we're about to get to it. It says, this way I can keep comics stocked at my shop at nearly all times and strike while the iron is hot. I will sell more comics. DC will sell more comics. The printer distributor produces more comics. The fans get what they want. I appreciate this is too long an email to feature on your show. What? No, it's not. But dude, I have people who write like 20-page letters to my show, and I would love to read them, but it's just too long. Plus, I would crash my car while I'm doing this. I mean, it wouldn't make sense. Anyway, perhaps it's an idea that will crop up while you discuss other things. Finally, I'm curious, you often mention the channel coming to an end. Why do you feel that way, and why do you really think you can keep off the mic for long? Anyway, all the best, and thank you again, Perch. All right. Well, first off, why do I think the show's going to end? One, because I'm doing this, and it's fun on one level, but it is work, and I at times it feels like a grind, at times not. But the biggest reason, and I'll be just completely honest, there are a small handful of people, and really, if I'm being honest, it's one guy who regularly decides to false flag my channel, swats it, reports it to YouTube. It's a complete and utter prick, and he knows who he is, and he is a absolute and thorough dick. And I wish that guy would disappear. For all of you who, listen to this guy, like this guy, admire this guy is a absolute fucking tool. And you should be ashamed of yourselves for liking this guy. He is an asshole. And he just, on a regular basis, tries every dirty trick to, harass me, harass my family, and harass YouTube to get me pulled down. And I get tired of dealing with it. Bluntly, that's it. And then second, look, I'll pull out my tiny violin, but I am kind of tired of dealing with assholes. I'm just tired of it. Everybody gets tired at some point. This is my opinion, and I've always been this way. You don't have to agree with me, and I'm cool if you don't. I'm like, I will buy absolute people who completely and utterly disagree with me beer any day of the week. I'm all in. But the people, like, this is supposed to be fun. Fucking comics should be fun. You got, this is ridiculous that people act like this, but that's the biggest reason right there. Feel free to take your guesses. I'm not going to blind name the guy because that would generate, the next level of warfare, with this douchebag. But I guarantee you, when I do finally, line this thing up, I've already recorded the videos, and I absolutely am going to lay it all out on the fucking floor for all the people inside comics and out who have been pricks all these years. And I'll tell you this, the names will not surprise you, but the stories will. The people who have gone after my, 11-year-old daughter. Yeah. I'm sorry. Fuck you guys. All right. So anyway, that's why. So to the main purpose of your mail, look, I think that, first of all, your idea is a good one. Here's the small problem and the bigger problem, both of which I think should be done anyway. The small problem is a lot of printers are still moving up the world of 2025 supply chain, and they do not have a lot of the logistics support. The comic books are often printed, sometimes in Canada, sometimes in China, sometimes in other places, but a lot of the places that comic books are printed do not have the supply chain and the MTO services worked out to do this effectively. So in order to do it effectively, you probably have to pay a little bit more, which is going to cut into the margin, but it'd be wise for the publishers to do this. They will sell more books because they would do exactly what you say. They would basically get into a better print on demand with incentives program that would generate more book sales. It's not as good as returnability, but it would give a lot of retailers, like me, like you give a lot of us a ton of insurance and confidence that if we under order, there was still a safety net to go back and get more. We don't have to make ourselves get broke. We have an effective system for how this works. Plus, whatever, the drop in margin for both the retailer and the publisher would be made up by the fact that you're getting rid of the distributor. You're getting rid of Diamond, basically. You're taking their cut off the table, and you're dealing directly with the printer. and you're paying a little bit more for a printer with good supply chain services, but you would be saving money on the distributor cut. I haven't done exactly the math, but I think it would wash. I don't think there would be any price increase to the consumer. I don't think there would be any drop of margin to the retailer. And I think it's one less piece in the supply chain. It's effective. And if you look at what Penguin Random House does for their books, if you look at how Barnes and Noble is managing a lot of their, their supply, it operates like this. There's a reason, a dirty secret. There's a reason why Scholastic and Dogman, it's always like that thing never sells out. It's a huge selling book and it never sells out. Well, why is that? Because the supply chain is going direct from printer to, in this instance, the Penguin Random House is not a distributor in the diamond sense. They're just a facilitator. And the speed, and there's articles on this. You can search for it on Google. Look for like Dogman supply chain, Scholastic, like 2, 3, some weird words. But though it will tell you kind of the story. And they basically said that, when Dogman came out, one of the reasons it did so well is when Target sold out of that book, they were able to place an order, and within 48 hours, they had shipments in the store. Like, that was the speed. And granted, Dogman's printing millions of copies. Comic books do not have that level of power, but still, if you're a retailer and I told you, hey, you can order any quantity of book, and if you sell out, we'll have a new version for you. We'll have more copies for you within 1 week. You'd dance. You'd be so happy. So that's what needs to happen. But I've been teasing for a little bit that there's a bigger problem. Here is the bigger problem. And I don't think it is a problem, but some of you listening right now will think that. What if there were no more second printings? Basically, what I mean by that is it's print on demand, so there's only first printings for a period of time, let's say 6 months. Within a 6-month window, if you buy the comic, you're getting a first printing. You would have to do away with the idea of second printing, third printing, fourth printing, which collectors would bitch at. The collector market would say, you're devaluing the scarcity of the book. And that's absolutely true, you would. So if you're a collector and you're trying to build up volume and you try to kind of build up a collection, you're going to make less money. I'm telling you, your stuff's going to be worth less. Not worthless, but worth less, because we're going to live in a new world where the comics are printed on demand. So if the shop runs out, they can order more, the new copies show up, they're still considered first printings. It will hurt the collector's market. But I think it needs to be hurt. Bluntly, and keep in mind, I'm saying this as a retailer who profited a lot off the collector market over the years. I think this is a step that is required at this stage in comics. The retailers on the ropes, they need a better system. They need better supply chain. The readers and the collectors are, fuck it. At this point, I think you have to do it a different way. You could do it through variant covers. And frankly, you could do some incentives where the true collector title is a variant cover or is an incentive comic. That's better than first printing, second printing, third printing, fourth printing. That's unhealthy for this business at this stage. It was fine when you had hundreds of thousands of books going out the door. In a world where you are struggling to make 20,000 copies, you need to do away with the system. And you need to give retailers the ability to order a book, and if it sells out, quickly get another version of it and not destroy the value in the process. So you need to do this. It will have an impact to collectors. So my question to all of you is, do you care? And if you do care, I would just say this. I think this is a necessary pill you're going to have to swallow to preserve the health of the comic industry, because if suddenly you gave all the retailers the ability to under order, sell out, and get new copies and continue that chain, and as a buyer, you had the ability to basically always have a copy. So there is no, think for the next 5 years, there will be no concept of sellout. It's just going to be, there's always titles on the stand when you want it. I think that's a better world to live in this stage. I think if we had that, it would be healthier, it'd be stronger, and the comic industry would be able to kind of rebuild itself. You could still do variant covers and incentives and other things, but in terms of the actual print run, I think we got to get over it. I feel very strongly about this, but I suspect some of you may feel strongly the other way. So let me have it in the comments. There you go. Thank you very much for the email. I don't know. You didn't tell me whether I can mention your shop or not. And there's a couple crazy assholes, like I mentioned earlier, who will, basically fuck with you because you're associated with me. So I don't want to have an impact to your store revenue. But if you'd like me to promote your store, I will do it any day of the week. And better yet, I'm telling you, if you would like to reach out, I would do an interview with you. I would talk about your store. I would love to hear your story. So let me help you help comics. Thanks for listening.